Are we doing fine? Is everything up to snuff? Excellent. Well, welcome to the stream. It's not gonna be a long one today because I am overdue on something that I should have done weeks ago, but I didn't, and that is getting the RSS feed correct for the brand new podcast that my wife and I have been secretly recording for the last 6 months. And that is a new season of an old podcast that we did called Jurymore. That is a portmanteau of my nickname, Jury, Jury, and her last name, Paramore, Jurymore. And so now there will be more Jurymore. What was thought to be a limited series, just chronicling our marriage, is now rebooted as we have a baby on the way. And so Jurymore Jr. begins as soon as I can fix the RSS feed. Which, to be totally honest, my fault that it even got screwed up. I wanted to port it over to the place where I host all my other podcasts. It just would have made life easier for me. Everything got done screwed up. So I got to actually sit down and dedicate some time to it as opposed to trying to poke it when I have free time. World War III. I don't think it's World War III. I don't think the possibility of a wider regional conflict is off the table. But I don't know if that's the worst thing on the planet because it would probably bring a lot of countries against Iran because Iran has been all up in a lot of people's business for a very long time. But if anything, the fact that Russia has put so much time and effort into Ukraine, I think makes it less likely that we're going to see a World War III. I mean, really, nothing happens in a World War III unless China and America are on opposite sides of it. That's the reality here, right? Like, there's no World War III unless it's essentially America versus China. These are the two largest superpowers that would be on opposite sides of the ends of the field from each other. But like, that's the big thing. So like, Iran has been the center of every Middle Eastern conflict for the past 50 years since the toppling of the Shah. I don't know that for sure. It sounds right to me. Name a Middle Eastern conflict that Iran was not directly involved in. I mean, they were the central player in the Iraq war. I guess maybe Afghanistan. But even then, I don't know. So the fact that they are coming to more direct blows with Israel is what it is. To be totally honest, I am not as read in on exactly what happened. I know that an Israeli missile here, let's just read here from the BBC. From the BBC. Yeah. BBC One. An Israeli missile hit Iran early on Friday morning, according to U.S. officials. Blasts were heard at the central province of Isfahan, which is home to nuclear facilities, a large airbase and major missile production complex. Israel has not confirmed it was responsible, but has vowed to respond to a massive Iranian missile and drone attack on its territory last weekend. Iranian officials and media claim the attack did not inflict any damage. Press X to doubt on that one. While U.S. officials confirm the strike happened to the BBC's partner station, CBS, the response that Tehran has been muted and mild. I don't know the BBC's was partnered with CBS. That's interesting. Some officials have denied outright that it even took place at all. And one mocked it as a failed attack involving a few quadcopters. Okay. So everybody who was doesn't it seem possible to independently verify the damage? The strike appears to be limited in scope. No casualties have been reported. Okay. Come on. It's not even close to World War III. I would take a wild guess and say, I don't know shit, right? I don't know shit on this. Don't take anything I say seriously. But I would take a wild guess that this was just as much Israel saying, we know where you have your stuff, than it was an active kind of retaliation. Why do modern countries not use ancient names? Why is Iran not Persia? Why is Iraq not Babylon? Why is Turkey not Troy? I don't know, man. It's a good point. It's nobody's business but the Turks. Again, this is a thing that I just don't know a lot about. I would defer to better voices on this, up to and including our friend of the show, Ryan Macbeth. He is somebody that I have leaned on, not only behind the scenes, but also in his content, to understand kind of the lay of the land, at least as far as like military stuff goes. But I know that the Israeli military is formidable. I do not know the status of the Iranian military, but I do know that their favorite thing to do is just fund proxies. And I don't know whether or not that is a deception thing, whether or not that is a just because they don't have a great military. I don't know. Okay. New podcast is out where Mr. Evan Scrimshaw and I go through every presidential election since 2000 and talk over what demographic won that election. A lot of demographic talk lately. I have a where not wrong, not a complaint, but an observation. Y'all are giving the feed away for free. Yeah, we're a barefoot show. We like to do the show a little barefoot, but maybe we should. I don't know. I'm not in love with our camera work right now. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and I'm happy that we can produce a minimum viable product YouTube show. And I would like to make it better. I would like to continue to make it better for you guys. But I don't know. Do you guys like the feet? Some people are grossed out by feet. Some people are very not grossed out by feet. We need to bring them democracy like we did Afghanistan. All right, JDS, let me just say this. Because I feel like we're in this post-Iraq war, post-Afghanistan world that, like, I'm all on board. Foreign adventurism for the United States when it comes to deploying troops, not popular, not great. We didn't really get a whole lot out of it. We spent a bunch of time in Afghanistan. As soon as we got out, literally, the Taliban said, don't let Allah, don't let the door hit you where Allah split you. Boom. Get the hell out. We're going to get back to murdering gay people and stoning women. Iraq, a little bit of a better situation, although as we're talking about Iran, the constant problem that we have with that is that it's just going to be an Iranian proxy state. But there is foreign policy beyond deploying troops and the neoconservative concept of remaking democracy around the world at the tip of a gun. There are decisions beyond that. Everything does not need to go back to that. But I can understand that people are always just afraid that that's good. It's like, oh, okay, well, one day Dick Cheney's on Meet the Press, and the next day my next door neighbor dies in fucking Ramallah. ATL John Boy, security moms, plumber Joes, Swift boat veterans demographics. Yes. We start at 2000. Spoiler alert, my prediction or my estimation of the demographic that tipped the 2000 election, Palm Beach Jews. You lost by 500 of them. Those are who the Democrats are in Palm Beach. I know it very well. Shout out to Meisner Park. Salute to all my Jews up in Palm Beach. Just needed 500 more of them, and you would have been president, Al. And then we go from there. And I think it actually is fascinating to just sort of see it from that lens of just like where are people losing support, where are people gaining support? Because it is something that I do think we are not dumb on, but we get into this very, very fraught cultural conversation of like, oh, Democrats are losing minority support. Democrats are losing Hispanic support. They're losing black support. Young kids are more into Donald Trump. Old people are into Biden. The suburbs. The suburbs. Will somebody think of the suburbs? But this happens all the time. You know, our two major parties are built of sprawling coalitions. And they change constantly. They are always changing. You know, you got to think of a Democratic or Republican coalition like a lava lamp. Like the bubbles they're slow, but they're always moving. Now, sometimes there's like a big bubble that stays there at the bottom for a really long time. Those are like kind of like the bedrock elements of the coalition, but sometimes a little bit of that moves and then it goes like bloop, and then a little part of it just floats away. That's kind of what happens. Do we cover the teabaggers? No. Well, yes. No. So a Tea Party would be Tea Party would be what? Obama midterm. No. We don't talk about that demographic specifically. The Obama era demographics are very much not only the minority coalition that comes along in 2008, but also the white working class Obama coalition that endured in 2012. The Tea Party is probably best represented in 2016 when it was not called the Tea Party anymore, but it was the beginning of white working class resentment that, as soon as Obama was gone, exploded. The irrationality of the teabaggers transformed into the MAGA movement. Knuch, I would say, man, obviously, look, politics is a contact sport, and I'm not here to tell you to root for the opposite side, but I would put cartoonish labels on those that you don't like at your own peril, because that's the kind of stuff that makes you not visit Wisconsin if you're Hillary Clinton. That's the kind of stuff that doesn't make you create a better abortion policy in 2024 if you're Joe Biden, because you just have a cartoonish idea of your opposition. And look, I know that most political media is that. Just slapping a cartoon label on the people across the aisle from you so we can all sell a t-shirt and you can buy a mug with the name on it. It's not what I do, because I apparently like making money less. It's a lot more profitable to do that. But I would say to you, because I care about you, just cartoonishly label your enemies at your own peril. Joe's been throwing the election for the last 12 months. Well, he's had a better run in the polls lately. I think he's damn near even. Yeah, the RCP average is Trump +4. Oh, we have some new polls from Fox News polls. You want to look at some polls? Check out my polls. Here we go. Head-to-heads, Fox News polls. Trump versus Biden, he is up 6 in Georgia, up 3 in Michigan. They are dead even in Pennsylvania, dead even in Wisconsin. With third-party candidates, Trump's lead expands in Georgia. It shrinks in Michigan. It expands by 2 in Pennsylvania. It weakens by 2 in Wisconsin. And right now, North Carolina tracking the same as Georgia, at least for this Mason-Dixon poll, which is good news for Republicans. Well, Georgia being +6 is very good news for Republicans. Michigan being +3 is good news for Republicans. If I think Arizona's lost for Republicans just for a million different reasons. That state party is an absolute ramshackle shit show. You've got this abortion thing, which is just a mess, just an absolute mess, that if the state politicians really want to go into November with that being the status quo, then good luck. The fact that Arizona, which is a fairly conservative state, has 2 blue senators. Well, now 1 purple senator, a blue senator. It likely will have a blue senator again, and a Democratic governor. That is an indictment on the state party. That is a history of failure. But if you are Republicans, you are very happy with Georgia. Georgia, again, is a Republican state that if they do their job, they should win. Michigan is not. That's an encouraging number. And then Pennsylvania, these head-to-heads, you have this outlier poll of Biden plus 10, but otherwise it is like ties and Trump. Pennsylvania, spoiler alert for all of it, it's all going to be close. But you want to see that if you are Republicans. You are terrified of that if you are Democrats. Pennsylvania is an absolute must win. Joe Biden cannot win this election if he loses Pennsylvania. Yes, theoretically, in a crazy outside scenario, he could. Realistically, nah. He's got to win Pennsylvania. He's got to win Michigan. These are must wins. Wisconsin as well. But let's go back to that national number. General. Trump's polling's come down. Biden's polling has come up. And from, I think I tracked it at 3.5. That was the, no, here we go. There we go. That was the lead that Trump had. Sorry, 4.3. 4.3 was the biggest lead that he had. That was January. So as he is bounding through the primaries, and since then, a lot of opposition dumped on Trump. The abortion stuff has become bigger. And now it is closer. But the state polls have remained pretty similar. Do you think the reason all of the Iran-Israel stuff is coming to a head is that Iran is close to a nuke? No. I don't believe that that's part of it. I think that, Iran is, at least as far as the Western perspective, it's a little bit of a black box. Who knows what is happening internally there? But we do know that they are a dictatorial regime that has an iron fist over their people, and part of what they feed them is that their glorious Islamic revolution, the one that swept them to power in the late 70s, is working. How do you show that it's working? Well, you show that these other organizations are doing big, important things, like murdering Jews. Big popular thing to murder Jews. So October 7th, big deal, right? There's now more of a need to fight because of, the plight of Gaza, although they don't really care about Gaza. Iran doesn't really care about it. They care about the dead Jews. They care about Hamas killing Jews. They don't really care about Gaza. Because those people in Gaza, they're on the other side of the Sunni Sharia divide. They don't really like those guys. Saudi Arabia should like Gaza. Doesn't really like them all that much either. They don't really. I think it was a Jon Stewart line that Phil Mickelson gets more money per year than the entirety of the Palestinian population, even though they are of the same Islamic sect, unlike Iran. Have I always been such a Zionist? Really giving me ick vibes. XO or X15. How would you describe me as a Zionist? I wouldn't describe myself as a Zionist. Just a guy who's tried to follow the Middle East. It's been a pretty important part of American foreign policy for a couple decades. So I'm doing my best in trying to understand it. But, I try to be realistic about, some of the things that dictate that worldview. Like, is it controversial to say that there are elements of the Arab world that like killing Jews? I don't. Is that controversial? Is that a thing that people are not in agreement on? Like, even if you believe that Israel is a murderous ethno state, like, are we not familiar with how things go in that region? El Condor Pasta. Following the Middle East without getting labeled is tough. I, I really don't give a shit. I really, really, really don't give a shit, especially now when it's very clear that the Wikipedia skimmers are just out. Oh boy, oh boy. But they'll be gone at some point. There's gonna be another thing. Jojo Siwa will, run for Senate, or Rihanna will split her pants, and then everybody will just kind of move on to the next thing. So it's fine. I would like to actually cement myself with my friends in the Middle East. This idea of hot passions and everybody screaming, Western idea. The old world. And there is no world older than the Middle East. Stay the path. Keep your eye on the prize. Jury, serious question. You talk about Iran, but chided Jen for not talking about Israel. Does everybody in Iran believe the same thing? Why aren't you specific talking about the Iranian regime or the Islamic Republic? Well, so that's a very good question. And the big difference from my perspective is that there is a dictatorial regime that came in after the toppling of the Shah. I mean, it was a Shah before, right? So it wasn't exactly like a parliamentary system like exists in Israel and has existed in Israel since it was created. So when I talk in shorthand about Iran, there has only been one leader. The Ayatollah has run that country and has the regime, the Islamic Republic, has been in power. And so I do think that it's clearer to say that they have one aim, where, aside from a few core principles, the Israeli parliamentary system, which in the region is rare, there's not a lot of, there's no other Western-style democracy in the Middle East. They change. And in the same way that we can reasonably talk about differences between the Bush administration and the Obama administration and the Trump administration and the Biden administration, I do think that if we're trying to be realistic about orders that were made or things that happened in those moments, it benefits us from understanding the context around them. The context around Iranian leadership has not changed since the late 70s. So that is the difference in the way I see it. Now, let me also say this. I have never fashioned myself an expert on this. I am a guy who's read a bunch of stuff, mostly news articles. I've just tried to follow the region for a while. And I'm, read a couple books. I have been to Israel. I have been to Bethlehem, but I would not consider myself an expert. Not in the way that we've had, the expert portal has opened. So many experts out here that really, 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 that's the thing. The funniest thing about all this is that, I like talking about this stuff, and I'm willing to be wrong with it. The only stuff that boxes me in, or that frustrates me, is the boxing in of Israel is an ethno-murder state, yes or no. It's like, for me to answer that question, before we even get into the history, what I would like to set as a baseline is, okay, where are we setting the baseline of ethno-murder state in that region? I just would like to set a line. Who paid for the trip to Israel? The Anti-Defamation League did. The Anti-Defamation League. I was but a young, impressionable boy in college. We went to Poland, Bulgaria, and Israel. A half week in Poland, a half week in Bulgaria, and then a full week in Israel. And yeah, I was happy to take the trip. Like, I was mostly drinking and trying to fuck. Like that, if we're going to be really, really honest, I've told the story a million times that the only way that Auschwitz can be more depressing is the way that I went there, which was really, really, really hungover. Because there's nobody that wants to hear you complain about a hangover in Auschwitz. X15, why are you all fired up about this? Like, okay, do we want to, if we want to take it seriously, you want to know what? Everything that you say, I will take seriously. I will take seriously. We're not taking calls. Who is the Anti-Defamation League? The Anti-Defamation League is an organization that is a pro-Jewish organization. They are designed to beat back anti-Semitism. Now, I would say that the Anti-Defamation League that I knew throughout the vast majority of my childhood and the one that sent me on that trip, this is not like a unique thing. They used to do it every year. I don't know if they still do it. But as for campus newspaper editors, I would say there was about 20 of us, but we were from, I would say, the top college newspapers: Harvard, Northwestern, Syracuse, like the ones that usually win the awards. We were invited on the trip, and many of us took those opportunities. But the Anti-Defamation League is a explicitly pro-Jewish organization. And friends, they were not shy about putting forward that they were a pro-Jewish organization. Now, I will say, in their defense, they did put us in touch with a lot of people that were not explicitly along those lines. There were journalists there that I forget if he was Jewish, but he described the reason why he wanted to move as an American to Israel was because he was a news junkie. You know, a lot of things happen in that place. And we also talked to a member of the Palestinian Authority. They made an effort to bring in a member of the Palestinian Authority, and boy, was he not fucking friendly about the state of the West Bank. He had very, very pointed critiques about the state of the West Bank. Now, I'm sure for some, you say, oh, he accepted an invitation from the ADL to talk to a bunch of Americans. Cuck. Not a real Palestinian Authority guy. And this is, by the way, back at the point where the Palestinian Authority still ran everything. This is, shit. When did Yasser Arafat die? It's around when Yasser Arafat died. I think Yasser Arafat had already been dead and Mahmoud Abbas was running the Palestinian Authority. But this was a moment of a real possibility of change, especially in the Arab world, because post 9/11, America needed Arab help probably more than we had in the last 30 years, because we were trying to run some wars in areas that we needed airspace, we needed backing. We would prefer people didn't fund organizations to blow up American troops. So there was a thought that the Palestinian Authority would have more sway at that time. Do we have any other questions? I'm willing to answer any and all questions about either Israel, Palestine, what I know, the greater Middle East. Now, the ADL has since, much like other organizations, like the ACLU, became, I think, mission creep became a thing for both of those organizations. I don't know where they are now as an organization that was explicitly dedicated toward anti-Semitism. You know, things are a little bit different these days. So I don't know. I don't know where they are. I know that they had a standing offer for campus newspaper editors back in 2003. And that I drank a lot. It was an explicit no drinking trip. And I immediately found the 30 people that were like, look, fucking send me back home. But I don't know. I mean, like, the thing that frustrates me the most about our modern meta in this kind of conversation is that it doesn't really even give me any room to say the things that I think Israel is fucked up about. Like, we don't even get to that. We don't even get to the stuff that I would agree with the progressive position on. Just because I think that it's an insane, over reductive position to just end. Like, it's not even a conversation. It's Israel is a murderous ethno state, a serial killer ethno state. It's like, oh, is that the opening prompt? No. Repeat it, or your the blood of Gazan children's on your hand. It's like, oh no, well, that doesn't seem like the very, very fascinating, interesting, and brutal region of the Middle East that I've come to know. We didn't even get a chance to say that I think the Israeli conscription army is something that is regularly in violation of international norms because they've got a hair trigger and they have no reason to be disciplined. We don't have a chance to say that there are religious minorities in Israel, the settlers, that have routinely done shit that is extraordinarily fucked up to the Palestinian territories. We have not gotten to the point where the Palestinian territories are something that are essentially a political football with the Arab world, largely there to be funded so it can be a thorn in Israel's side. And that is among the more pitiable positions that those poor people are in. It's not a great situation. Yeah, fucked up. Been fucked up. Been fucked up. This is shit that I have said long before people started yelling at me for not saying it. Which is what that's the frustrating part. X015, his next question. I would start with Israel shouldn't exist as we know it. Okay. Not really a question. You know, if we want to go back in time to how that all went down, then we can. We're here now. Jesus, JDS. Oh, man. And by the way, that's fine. People can have that idea. I guess I'm going to make this very, very clear. I don't believe that the vast majority of the progressive left is in any way anti-Semitic. I don't believe that. I don't. And if we can abstract one level, I find it abhorrent when conversations can't begin or progress because somebody wants to throw a label on something very, very quickly. And so I do think it's unfair. It is unfair when any kind of conversation about Israel that is critical of Israel can be labeled as anti-Semitism. I want to make that clear. Very clear. End of document. publish document, close document, open up new document. Anti-Semitism does exist in the Arab world. It does. It is not controversial. It is just a part of life. It is a key element in understanding the region. The lines that are drawn between ethnicities in the Middle East are important to understand. Sunni and Sharia, Arab and Jew. I don't know if that is controversial, but I do think that it is important to know. And so if we do know that, then we should also know that there are some ideas in the Middle East that are anti-Semitic. And I do think some of those ideas get repeated. I don't think that it makes somebody anti-Semitic because that is, again, it is a way to shut down arguments. But if we are talking about something from the Arab perspective, especially if you haven't spent a whole lot of time thinking about this kind of stuff, then I think it's easy to fall into some of those things. Now, does that make anybody a terrible person? No. I mean, I'm not Jewish, so as far as you know. So I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not Israeli, so I'm not going to take it personally. But I do think that it is helpful from a holistic perspective to understand the region. It depends on if you equate anti-IDF, anti-Israeli occupation with anti-Semitism. No, I don't. I think, again, there are a lot of very, very, very legitimate criticisms that you can have with Israel as a country, the IDF as a force, and the prosecution of this war specifically. I mean, wars in general usually don't win beauty contests. But what tends to drive me up a wall is when we cross a line from, let's think of the humanity of the Gazan people, something that I very much believe in, to Hamas isn't anti-Semitic. Hamas is anti-Semitic. That is not a controversial thing for them. In fact, it's the brand. That's like saying Coca-Cola doesn't have sugar. Like, that's part of it. Now you can think whatever you want about Israel, but I think that's when it crosses into that stuff. That's where I'm like, okay, are we even paying attention? I fucking got, well, actually, you're right. In the U.S., Coca-Cola has corn syrup, not sugar. All right, yeah. It's like saying Mexican Coke doesn't have sugar. There we go. It's like saying Mexican Coke, because that's the one with real sugar, right? Fuck that one up. Yeah, discredited. Fucking another L for the Zionist cause. Will we take calls today? Yeah, we'll take calls. We'll take calls now. I think we're at a good stopping point. I think we're at a good stopping point. We're at a good stopping point. If somebody wants to call in and talk more about it, they can talk more about it. But that's that. All right. Go ahead and give us a call. 510-404-8030. Again, 510-404-8030. Got me now. I'm in 80. 30. Four, 80, 30. There we go. Boom. Oh, Meryl. Hold on, Meryl. Sorry, I was trying to type the graphic and you called, and then my typing answered the call. How you doing, Meryl?
I thought you were just waiting to intro me. I would never step on you like that.
No, you were muted, so I didn't know what the fuck you were saying. But
I didn't say anything.
No,
I was waiting for my cue to speak. So I listened to the first episode of the new season. First question: please tell me this isn't going to stop after Le Petit Haunt is born, because I would love the Jury Moore parenting podcast as well. So I'd like to know this is just going to be forever in my life for a while.
We'll see. I don't know. No promises. No promises.
Second question, more important question, maybe the most important question. How fertile are you?
You want to know what? That's a good question.
Like,
I could probably reveal this.
I haven't been through this. I have never had an opportunity to ask a friend you're the first friend I know who has gone through this process of checking the fertility, or at least been public about it.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like, how does that scale work? What is the scale? Where are you on that scale? I'm very curious.
Let's see. We're going to go back, right? Because this is going to be in July.
For context, some people that haven't listened while you do that, there was a mention in the first episode that you are extremely fertile, and a doctor was confirmed it, and you were very proud of yourself.
So as we were thinking about, let's see, is that no? So as we were thinking about being pregnant, my wife went and did some tests just to make sure that everything was in working order. She had an IUD. She had that taken out. And then I got a fertility test just to make sure that everything was working, right? And so I did a little Googling, and I found a lab, and they were like, look, here's the deal. You can take this test. We will charge you for this test. And then we're just going to hand you a piece of paper. We can't explain to you shit. That actually has to go through a doctor. And so I took this piece of paper, I took a picture of it, and I uploaded it to ChatGPT. And I said, you are an old Southern doctor. Please explain these results to me. And ChatGPT said, well, son, let me just tell you, the tadpoles are jumping. But that being said, I don't know if Ashley has the actual paper. I'm trying to look now at my old photos to see whether or not I just uploaded it there. Yeah. I will say that the standards, the testing standards there are like motility and like sperm per like space. It's like how much sperm is in there and how wiggly is it. Those are the two standards. And I was firing 99 on the gun, my guy. Ashley brought the paper to her gynecologist and asked her opinion. She's like, yeah, you guys are going to have no problem. And I guess we didn't.
Your bravado and confidence in the recording was very palpable. I was like, this man's very proud.
Well, I mean, look, I was not a great athlete. I am not particularly tall. You know, I don't have one of those bodies where you know, if you lift two weights, you look like, you know, Venom in the Todd McFarlane sense. You know, there are certain natural gifts that other people are afforded that I was not given, except for one. Holy shit!
Well, I'd be
Holy
curious.
shit!
Well,
That's like Olympic level sperm.
Have you ever looked into if there's a link between sperm production and physical activity? Because you are the healthiest you've ever been, and you are the most active you've ever been, like literally physically active.
I don't know if that would be the case compared to, you know, when I was like a kid or something like that.
Well,
you know?
well, let's compare it to more like, you know, pre-pandemic. Boys,
I mean, like, look, we can get into a whole nother conversation about fitness, but I have no idea what the link is between the two. As I've understood it, there are not necessarily links between the two.
Well, a big round of applause for your boys. I love the first episode. That was great. Very honest. Very. I listened to it on my walk, and I look forward to having more of that.
And you got it right off the website, right? It hasn't propagated into any podcatchers.
No, I was subscribed to the old feed that was on Apple. It was not updating, so I went to the Squarespace one and pulled the feed directly from Squarespace, and that's what I plugged into my podcast.
All right, you might need to redo that because I'm going to be fucking with it today. But hopefully the one that is on all the podcatchers is going to be where you are going to be able to get it. And if not, I'm just going to start a new fucking feed and re-upload all the episodes and just tell everybody to subscribe to that.
Nice. Again, great first episode. Look forward to it, and I will talk to you later.
All right, man. See you later. Bye. Cliff Singer says he went back and listened to the kids episode. So who was right? Who was right with the kids episode? Because to this day, me and Ashley misremember the conversation that we described in the kids episode, knowing that there is proof that we actually came to a consensus in the moment, but either of us want to listen to it because things are going so well. Are there other jury kids floating out there? Not that I know. Nobody has come forward with a mustachioed little youngster out there just yet. But then again, I don't know. I feel like I was pretty careful. I feel like back in my younger days. Yeah, morphology is one of the sperm factors. That is one. Yeah. Wasn't I team no kids? Well, so I have always leaned more toward the idea of being kid-friendly than Ashley, as she discusses in the first episode of the new podcast. As I've gotten older, I have warmed more to the idea. Ashley had not, and as is described, the distance between that and Ashley being pregnant is described, at least philosophically, in the first episode. And then from there, we talk more about the process. The double wide Adolf. Yeah, come on. How can I be a Zionist with a double wide Adolf? Come on. Oh, Fallen Trout. Is that for real? That lifting heavy does pump the old sperm count. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, then I'm probably doing myself some favors. Baby Julia will grow up on a steady diet of Great Night, and we're not wrong. Well, she ain't going to have a choice. You know, it's a family business. It's like saying, you know, a farmer's daughter is going to grow up on a steady supply of fresh milk. Like, yeah, that's the way the news goes. She ain't going to have a choice. She's going to be in this back room. Actually, for a while, she'll be down in our room. Pump and dump as many meanings. All right, I'm going to have to stop myself because the conception process to me was very funny. there were a lot of very, very, very funny elements to it. And some of them are described in the podcast. I think episode 2 is called Grown Folks Only, and it gets into some of it. But boy, are there some funny elements of that. We did IVF, and my husband literally got a gold star sticker on his sperm results paper. We were just the lab. We were just at the lab, but as was described by both Ashley's gynecologist and ChatGPT, I feel like I need a sticker. Someone needs to send me a sticker. Our weekly podcast, the plan? Probably not. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I already do a lot of podcasts. So, although I don't know, if Ashley wants to, then I'm not gonna have a choice. Friends, if there's one thing that your good personal friend Justin Robert Young understands, is that as my wife traverses to the 3rd trimester of this pregnancy, the best thing to do is just fucking whatever she wants. Ain't gonna be a whole lot of pushback in this house. One of the things that she was very, very excited about is when I described to her, hey, you know, right now you've got wife law. Wife law is powerful. Wife law is 1,000,000 times more powerful than girlfriend provisions. That's not even a law. Girlfriends get provisions. Girlfriends, like, they're like peace officers, right? Like they're not allowed to carry a gun. You know, it's just like you get a whistle, and you know, that's pretty much it. That's a girlfriend provision. Wife law, now you're a police officer. Now you got a gun. You probably have to wear a body cam, but you can shoot somebody and then like just go to sleep. It's fine. It can happen. You have qualified immunity as wife law. Mom law, it's basically 1984. Just your big brother. It doesn't matter what you said yesterday. Just say a new thing. There's no Supreme Court that can overrule. It is just, mom law is ironclad. Mom law is universal. She's like, oh, interesting. We have 5 episodes banked. 5 episodes banked. So the one that we put out, I just wanted to test to see if this solution I had worked. It didn't. And so now we are going, as soon as I get done with this, I'm going to spend the day until Weird Things trying to make that work. You should do an episode on if you want a second kid, and then you can look back on it in 2 years when you're expecting again. I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of clips. In fact, this might be, now that it's going to be out there, this might be something that just becomes a fan favorite thing to do for all the parents to just collect quotes that you want us to just put in a book. So like maybe after the first year, we can look back at all the very confident things that we had to say. I think that there's going to be a lot of parental schadenfreude that will be a part of the listening experience to this show. As someone who has an infant in the house, I'm interested to see how well you manage your many podcasts and home life. So am I, brother. So am I. I mean, the good news is, at least for the early going, the kid will be in the literal opposite end of the house from where I am. Now, I have also started seeding to Ashley that I think we're probably going to need to wind up. Like right now, this is just in an open landing in on the second floor of our house. So we've got 3 rooms here on the second floor. One is my office, one is the guest room, and one will be the nursery eventually when she moves into the nursery. But this right now doesn't have a door. I got a feeling we're going to wind up putting a fucking door on it. But that being said, it's like, like we got good condenser mics. I got a feeling the thing that will probably wind up getting trimmed a little bit more will be the live streams. But I will do my best. I will do my best. I make no promises through the first year. No promises. I'm going to go as hard as I possibly can through the fall, through the election. And then at that point, it's going to be on minimum viable product. The big thing is, are we doing, because now we're in the process of getting on these fucking daycare wait lists and shit like that. So, is it a daycare situation where I just got to jam all my shit into the daycare hours? Does Ashley have a job? Is she working from home? Is she doing a hybrid thing? Is she going into work somewhere? Like, there's just a lot of questions right now that we don't have answers to. But again, we'll see. We'll see. The good news now is that both Ashley and I are at the house. The other good news is that our literal next door neighbor is also having a baby, and she already has like a 3-year-old. So there might be an opportunity for some like take a baby, leave a baby situations. So like situations where they might need us to watch the kids. We can do that when we need that, for an hour. And when we're talking about these kind of podcasts, that's what we're talking about. Like, so. What's the plan on you being an omnivore and Ashley being a vegan? Will Julia be like daddy or mom? We've talked about it, although it'd probably be good podcast fodder. Kids need to eat everything when they are young, just so they can develop a palate and develop, I think Ashley was saying even antibodies are derived from the food that you eat. So I will assume that the kid will eat meat, at least from when they first start to do that. And then, we'll see. We'll go from there. Well, yeah, she'll always be a young. That's true. She's going to be the youngest young. Might be the youngest young for a while. start saving for college immediately. Here we go. Unsolicited advice of the day. A friend of mine texted me. Oh, Katie Dirks. Katie Dirks texted me last night. She's like, so how much unsolicited advice have you gotten? And I'm like, you want to know what? Pretty good so far. It's mostly been sleep warnings. That's the most the thing that I've gotten a million times is sleep. Sleep. Oh, sleep. Which I'm not worried about. You know, it is only recently that I have become a very, very regular sleeper in my, bygone era of newspaper reporting. There was a lot of, being up super late or working on not a whole lot of sleep. Yeah, I did that a lot through my 20s too. One time, I think I was up for like a day and a half. And it was when I was working with Andrew and I was putting together some magic trick. I forget which one it was, but I had to construct all the gimmicks for the magic trick. And so I was up. We just had to hit this deadline. It had to get out. So I was driving to the post office. And I had a thought. This is a forbidden thought. You really should not speak. You shouldn't think these thoughts, let alone speak them, let alone even dumber, speak them into a microphone. But there was a time where I was driving and I'd been up for a day and a half and I was going to the post office and I was like, wow, it's really dangerous that I'm driving. Like I am cracked out. I am on nothing but sweet and light Dunkin' Donuts from the Dunkin' Donuts in Margate. I was just cracked out. And I had this thought. It's a good thing I've gotten a lot of practice driving drunk. That's what I thought. Now, was that a good thought? No, wasn't a good thought. But, at least I got a little experience. I recall hallucinating from lack of sleep while driving. I did that. I drove from Florida to Syracuse in one shot once, and I was in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and I swear to God, I saw the sun was rising, and the sun came up with legs like a Terry Gilliam cartoon, like the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's like bang. And I was like, okay, I got to pull over and call my mom. I need to talk to somebody because I am just zoning out in a really dangerous way. Yeah, similar story. It was Orlando to the Finger Lakes. Yep. Day and a half adorbs, not a gigging musician. Oh, Lon. Lon, by the way, thank you again for the Fez. Amazing Fez. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I think Brian and I are just going to have to create a little secret society where we just wear our Fezes and smoke a pipe or something. All right. Well, you want to know what? We're going to wrap it up here. Only an hour stream, but we do it for you. We do it for you. Thank you, everybody, for joining the show. I very much appreciate you. And any news on the DC venue? Just going to call him today. I want to get that shit up there. It will go out to We're Not Wrong patrons first. So if you want to know the link to the DC, We're Not Wrong live show. It's at the end of May. Go now. Go now to the Patreon, patreon.com/We're Not Wrong, and you will get, all patrons will get the link first. Because I know there was a little bit of worry that it'll sell out. I do think that we are at danger for a sellout. We've never, any of the three of us have done a live show like this in DC ever. So I think there's going to be some pent up demand. There's going to be a lot of friends. So there's a chance it'll sell out on the Patreon. And if you want to have a shot at it, then patreon.com/We're Not Wrong if you're not already there. And by the way, you get the bonus podcast. Like, imagine if you like We're Not Wrong enough that you'd come see a live show and you haven't been getting the bonus podcast and you get on the Patreon right now, you have a whole fucking back catalog of shit that you've never heard before. But yeah, I we got to knock it down. All right, that's it. Till next time.